don't even sit in it.
Why are you doing that?
Oh, you didn't
It's true. You're sitting there other times.
Lacrosse is really
recording
deadly.
now.
Somebody in the stomach.
Ladies.
Lacrosse is really deadly.
Oh. No.
Hello.
We're gonna spend it for a minute.
Guys, how are we doing today? I already did. Well, what are we doing? Surprise. Go ask him. Mr. Bittner, what are we doing today?
What?
What are we doing today?
Same thing we do every day, Pinky. Try and take over the world.
Mr. Bittner, what are we doing today?
Okay. All right. Let's get started. Before we get started on anything today, I have some updated information for you about projects.
I finished.
How many of you are done? How many of you are finished? Okay. Those of you guys who are finished, you are going to really like this news. Those of you who are not quite finished, you're going to like it even more.
It's not due tomorrow.
We have, in talking with Ms. Campesano, about getting into the lab tomorrow. We were supposed to be in the lab tomorrow, but it turns out that she has to have 3 of the labs filled for map testing, which means if we were to work in the lab, it would have to be absolutely silent, so we could not talk, which means I also could not give you instruction on how to do things. And since I need to give you instruction on how to do things, like how to turn it into the Dropbox folder, we're not going to be able to do that. So we have to delay when we're turning it in. Okay, so for those of you who are not done yet, you guys are getting some super extra time to finish.
Thank you.
For those of you who are finished, you have some super extra time to just sit back and wait, or to go in and perfect it. This is what we're doing next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we will be back in the lab. We'll be in the lab for the whole day. For those of you who need to work, we will be in the lab for the whole day. For those of you who have questions about citing sources or something like that, we'll be in there to work. A week from tomorrow, which is the 20th, we'll be back in the lab for a final time, and that's when we'll turn it in. So you guys are getting an entire extra week to do this. I don't like this at all. I don't like it because this is a project that really should have taken three straight days in the lab, is all this project should have taken. We should have been done with this 2 days ago. But it's out of my control because we have map testing. And map testing takes over the lab. It's a must. We have to do it. And we had to work around that. So if we would have gotten this project done before map testing started, we'd been okay. But we didn't. So this is going to take a lot longer than I want. We're probably going to end up having another quiz and at least one more quiz, or at least one quiz before this is actually done on stuff that is past where this project is at. So we'll get back to this. So we will have time. So you guys, for those of you who are not done, we're going to have time. Yes.
What is the key vocabulary words?
We're going to talk about that in a little bit. We'll talk about that once we actually get into what we're doing today. Yes, Lou.
Well, this is kind of off topic, but is it due for everybody, like every class?
All classes are changing. So if you have friends who are completely stressing out about getting this done tomorrow, I just found this out in the 8th period, so let them know. I'll be changing it on the homework calendar to next week, but I just found out, so let them know. Otherwise, I'll tell them tomorrow when we get to class. We're not going to the lab tomorrow. We will not be in lab tomorrow because we can't fit in there. There's not an open lab for us. So we won't be in the lab tomorrow. I was hoping we could get in on Monday if we weren't in tomorrow, and that's not going to happen either. So we're waiting until Wednesday. I'm not stoked, I'm not thrilled, but you know, sometimes you can't control things, so it's fine. So we move on. I want to finish up our activity from yesterday. There was one level to our activity from yesterday that we did not get to. We talked about, we tried to share information in a situation where we couldn't use language. And we decided that was fairly difficult, right? On a scale of like 1 to 10, we said it was pretty much between an 8 and a 10, right? Some people said 10. It was pretty hard, right? It was hard to learn it. It was hard to teach it, and it took a long time, right? Did anybody in the room feel like they actually learned at least 2 things? Like really learned them?
The first time or the second time?
Okay. Okay, considering what you know after the second time we did it, how many of you guys realized after the second time you did it that whatever it was that you learned the first time was totally wrong? Right? Or at least a lot wrong.
Didn't
Right.
have all the steps required.
Okay. So, when you have a situation like that, it's hard. It takes a long time to teach something. In fact, one of the things that Mr. Johnson was asking me in my second period class was, there's a lot of steps in some of the processes. He's like, how in the world do you expect them to learn this? How in the world do you expect them to teach it? And I was like, I don't think they're going to be able to do it, because the only way that you could teach it, the only way that you could show somebody how to move step by step, the only way you could show somebody each individual step would be to take them out by the hand and walk them through it step by step. Take them out to the place and say, this is what you pick, this is where you go, this is what you do. It's the only way you can do it. And without being able to do that in this classroom, it would be really, really hard to teach someone how to do all these steps without language, right? But even then, once I allowed you to use language, you had written language and you had oral language that you could talk and share things with people. I still only allowed you to share one-on-one. Does anybody have any idea why I did that? You can only talk to one person at a time. Sean, do you have any idea why I did that?
We just get the whole class to watch one person do something that we all don't know.
That's part of it.
Or you'll kill us all.
I might have done that too. The main reason is because for a long time, that's the way that things were taught. You had a master and you had an apprentice. And the master, just like in Star Wars, right? The master and apprentice. And the master knew how to do things. And they would teach the apprentice. And once the apprentice got to the point where they knew how to do something well enough, they would become a new man. They would become their own master, and they would leave, and they would take on their own apprentice. And they would teach something. And so things were taught one person at a time. One person at a time. And it was like that for a very, very long time. Things were just taught one person at a time. And it wasn't until really recently, within the last like 200-300 years, that we started to see classrooms and education take on a shape like this, where you have one supposed master and a whole bunch of pupils learning how to do a particular thing. So you have a whole different dynamic. It wasn't until much, much later that we started trying to broadcast information to large groups of people. And so we started to do that. And that's where we're going to move with our communication today, with our language today. Where we are now in the world today, with our language, we can broadcast large amounts of information. We can learn how to do just about any task in the world. We can learn about anything in the world through media, through the internet. We can learn how to do anything. We can communicate almost any idea that we want. If I wanted to right now, I can log on. Actually, I did earlier today while I was at lunch. I logged into Facebook. I was on Facebook for maybe 15 minutes. I read 3 different news articles about things that were going on in places completely far away from me that I would never know about. Yesterday, my friend who's been living in Korea for the last 4 years emailed me and told me he just moved to LA and told me what's going on in LA where he lives. That's something that he would not have been able, if possibly he may have been able to write a letter and I might have gotten in a couple months. Well, we can spread information really quickly. If I want people to know about something, I can just throw it on Facebook for really quick. I can tweet about it. And whoever is around can see it, right? Anybody can watch it. If I want people to learn about history, I can just talk about history for a little while and put it on YouTube like I'm doing right now. And everyone can watch it. It's open to anybody can watch it. So you broadcast information out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the next step in our process. So I need my 5 original masters to come back up to the front of the room. My 5 original masters.
Oh, I was an original.
I want Matt.
Oh,
I was an original.
I want the
Yeah,
5 original masters.
You didn't get to teach any of
Alright.
it. You died.
Alright. So this is what we're gonna do. Today we are moving into the modern era. We've talked about the early Stone Age era where we didn't have language and we had trouble communicating ideas to one another. And we talked about the early civilizations and the type of communication that we had for a very long time, the type of language where we talked mainly one-on-one. Now we're moving into what we now call the information age, which is today, where we can broadcast information so that anybody can learn how to do anything. I learned how to make parts of this tree by watching Pinterest and YouTube. I learned how to connect all of it together and make sure the wiring was right by watching YouTube. You can watch and learn how to do all kinds of things from the internet. So we are going to teach the world how to do our tasks so that they can survive as cavemen if they need to. All right, let's see. I don't remember who had what. Oh, wait, I don't remember Matt had something.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, can you put more? Fire. All right. So what I want you to do is, as we go through, I'm gonna have. We'll start with Lily, and I'll just have you guys come down, and you're just gonna read your thing, and you guys are now going to learn how to do this particular task. I'm gonna stop every once in a while and talk a little bit about it, but go ahead and read through your thing.
Paint for game. To make purple, take purple petals from flowers in the field. Crush and mix with spit. Use quickly. Red. Use red berries from near the swamp. Crush and mix with sand. Lasts a long time. For black, use ash from fire. Mix with clean water. Makes a mess of.
All right. There's important details in there. You may have gotten that you needed to use red and red berries, but if you didn't get that you needed to use the red berries from the swamp and you used the red berries from the woods, is it possible that those red berries could be poisonous? Yeah, and you could get sick just by crushing them up and using them. It was really humorous for me to watch you guys yesterday trying to communicate using spit to mix in with the petals. That was actually quite interesting because it was just funny to watch you guys trying to do that. So it's very difficult. All right, next one.
Clean water. Up the mountain along the third path from the cave, 275 steps up, turn right at the face-shaped rock. Under clear, the hanging tree is an ice cold stream, very clean.
All right. Also, a lot of specific details in there. The number of steps you have to take up, which exact path you have to take up. In my first period class, Courtney Callahan had clean water, and when she was describing it to someone, Riley thought that she was talking about a water slide. Because all that she was getting from Courtney's explanation was you had to climb up something and then there was water. She's like, water slide? So, if you miss the details, it could be very difficult to figure out what exactly it is that you are supposed to be doing. Matt.
Hunting a mammoth. Watch the herd. Choose a slow, small, or weak one.
Alright, you're just reading.
Avoid,
You're not acting.
avoid sick mammoth or child leader.
Stop laughing, Matt.
How is this possible?
Because you remember what
That's okay. It's okay.
Have a small group of men drive or chase mammoth toward rocks with fire and sticks. Attack from the top of rocks with pointy sticks. Beware of tucks and legs. They are very dangerous. Leave some behind for wolves and cats.
Okay, there are very important things in here that you need to know. Why would you, first of all, why would you attack the small and weak ones? They're easier to get, they're easier to kill, right? Why would you not want to hunt a sick one? Mia, you can get sick as well. If you eat meat from an animal that was sick, you could get sick as well. Why would you want to leave behind meat for the cats and wolves? Good.
Because you're gonna kill them too.
You could use it as a like a baiting area, and they'll come in and you can kill them too. Why else? Ah,
Because, like, this you kill them, and then you take all the meat. They'll smell the meat, so then you'll follow you to wherever they're living at the point, and then they'll kill them. Then they'll have the mammoth meat and their meat. Like,
Exactly.
like you want to live.
Exactly. If you leave, to kind of tell you what I mean by that, I have a friend of mine who goes moose hunting in Alaska, and there's a lot of wolves in Alaska. There's also some large cats too, but mostly wolves and bears. And they, but the wolves are the problem. And what they do is when they go hunting in Alaska and they get a moose, they will leave part of the moose behind wherever it was that they shot it. And they only take like 3/4 of it because what will happen is the wolves will smell the moose and they'll go to where the part is that they left behind and leave them alone, and they're able to take the rest of the moose home to eat. So the wolves don't track them, they don't follow them, they don't bother them. They go to what's there. All right, we're gonna move on.
I have a question.
What?
How will you know if the animal's sick or not? Like, will they sneeze or not?
Yeah, they sneeze.
You can kind of, yeah, they might see.
Why does he like moose?
Why does he like moose? I don't
It
know.
just like sounds like something disgusting.
All
It's
right, next one. Jordan, what do we have for next one?
Fire. Make a pile of small sticks and dry grass. Using a dark rock and a light rock, strike them together to make a spark. Try to get sparks on the dry grass. When it smokes, blow on it. Add more wood.
Right. Some also small important things in there. Making sure to know that you need to use dry grass and not just any grass. If you use just any grass, it's not going to burn. It's just going to smoke a little bit or not do anything at all. You also need to know what kind of rocks to use when you're striking your rocks. You want to use a dark rock and a light rock. If you're using 2 red rocks, it's probably not going to create a spark. So you need to make sure that you use the right rocks. Right? All right. Try the last one.
Had medicine for cuts. In the woods near the swamp are some red berry bushes. Take 8 berries. In the field are some yellow and black flowers. Take only the petals. In the woods near the field are some large trees. Take some large green leaves. Mix berries and petals. Place time cut. Cover with leaves.
Okay. Also, very important details in that. You gotta make sure you use the right red berries. Just like we were talking about with the paint, if you get the red berries from the woods and not the red berries from the swamp, you could cause whatever your medicine is to be more of a poison. If you get something more than just the petals from your flowers, you get the petals and the leaves and make those together, that could also make poison. So you want to make sure that you're using the right stuff. So you've got to have all those details. All right. Thank you, masters, very much. Yes, ma'am.
But isn't like if when they were trying to describe something to them, they could like they have like the materials to do it. So they're walking through it, and the guys are like with him, and he like gets the wood, puts it on the fire. But then like it's like different because we can't have wood and put it on a fire.
Right. You didn't have that, no, but you did have some of you. I actually saw some. I actually saw some people using some of the tools around the room. So like I know I saw at least somebody doing this. Somebody had water. It was I have different things. They had picked up a water bottle and they were showing somebody clean water. This is what you're looking for, clean water. And they demonstrated going up a mountain, like going up a hill. Courtney actually walked on the top of the desk, well, on the seat of the desk, to show that she was going up the hill, right? So there's different ways of demonstrating. You may not have the tools right now, but you got the idea of that's how they would have to do it. They would have to pick up things and show them, right? I saw people with markers pretending that they were sticks, rubbing them together, or erasers pretending they were rocks, rubbing them together to make sparks, taking the sticks and building little piles out of them. You got the idea that yes, you would have to pick up the items and show it to them, right? Yes.
Can I go to the hospital?
All right. So that was our last little step in that activity. I wanted to take it all the way up to modern times so we understand exactly how we can spread that new learning out today. And speaking of new learning, let's all do a little bit of new learning and grab a textbook. So, let's see. Windows, please go grab a textbook, please.
So Windows would.
I don't know.
Can you give me a bug?
Just there.
See the.
Mr. Bittner,
Oh, I got you.
can I go to the bathroom?
See,
May I
You're
go
right
to the
there.
bathroom?
Quickly.
May I get a drink?
No.
See, you're so.
Wait.
That's that.
Yours. George, please go your textbooks. No, I just don't
Get
like
the
having
rigidity
more than
one.
2 people out of the room at one time.
I'll add it from that. I already got that.
I saw that. All right, trees, go get a textbook, please. We are on. Always on this. Go ahead and leave your textbook closed. We're just starting out. Just leave it closed.
You're
We're gonna talk about 2 minutes, and then you guys will start reading. And then we'll get back to it.
I can still feel air going through my jacket. Your jacket is thicker than mine.
Yeah, yours is like.
I didn't see.
I got mine.
All right. Please go ahead and leave your textbooks closed for right now. You don't need to find them. You don't need to worry about what page you're on.
Spencer.
Today we're gonna work on the section 2 of the new chapter that we're in. It's not very long. It's like 4 pages. It's just some quick reading. You're gonna look for some keywords. I think there's 4 keywords. Make sure that you write your key terms. Write those down in where you've been keeping your other key terms. We will probably have a key terms test. I was planning on Wednesday, but now Wednesday we're gonna be in the lab. So probably Tuesday of next week. We will have a key terms quiz. It'll be over basically all the ones we have so far. And then that'll be Tuesday of next week. So whoever was asking me about key terms quiz earlier, really interested you. Tuesday of next week. It's gonna go on the schedule for that. Okay? Today we're gonna work through section 2. We're gonna have you guys read through it, and then we're gonna talk about it a little bit, and then we will get done. Yes?
Is the test multiple choice?
I haven't read it yet.
Wait, I just have a question. I have a question.
Yes, Sean? In just a second, as soon as I tell everybody to start reading. Yes,
Is it just vocabulary?
it'll be just a Q term. As far as I'm planning right now, if it'll be anything different, I'll tell you so. Okay, section 2, chapter 2, it's page 36, I believe. 36, it's just like I said, it's just like 4 pages. Make sure you write down the key terms. I think there's only 4 of them. Get the definitions. Alright. Sean, now you may go.
I figured my notebook. Can I go get it?
What? You what?
May I get my notebook?
Oh, quickly. Yes.
I'm so sorry.
What?
Go after that, so that's the contact.
Yeah.
Gosh, so.
36. Page 36. It is pretty short. It should not take very long.
What are we reading?
The end of the section is like page 40, I think.
No, it's 39.
Very nice. Very nice.
Bless you.
How many of you guys have finished reading?
What, like, for the key terms, is it on, what chapter? Like,
All the ones that we've done so far. Okay. Really quickly, I know some of you may be finishing up the last of your reading, or maybe writing the last of your words down. But I want, if you are finished with your reading, you've got all of your key terms. I want you to quickly turn the page on, or the map on page 37. The map on page 37. This section begins talking about migrating and how we started migrating, moving around, and the different things. Tools we use to help us migrate. But I want to look really closely, because I think that there's important things to pull out, to check out, other than just the reading itself. And I want to look at the map that's there of the different paths of migration. And if you notice, if you look at the map, there's a little spot on there where it says early humans first left East Africa about 100,000 years ago. Everybody see where that little mark is on that map? And it's showing right in like central East Africa, right around that lake there. Everybody see that? Yes? No? Maybe? Okay, yeah. And if you notice that they sort of made like two paths out of there. That's where we believe that most early humans started, was somewhere in that area. That's where we see some of the earliest skeletons. At least where we found them anyways. And we believe they started spreading out from there. And if you look at those, the paths of their migration, where they started moving, those red lines, if you notice they start moving north. And they get to a point where they split off, and one group goes west towards North Africa, and the other part goes east towards the Arabian Peninsula. Does anybody know what ancient civilization would be right around that area where they started to split? Spencer?
Ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt. It's right along the Nile. In fact, it looks kind of like that arrow goes pretty much close to right where the Nile would have gone, or does go. They traveled up that way. Now, if you remember, when we first started, I talked to you guys a little bit about how the world changes based on different ice ages and changing topography, and how they've now discovered that where the Sahara Desert is currently, that it used to be a very lush jungle-like region with rivers flowing through it. And if you notice the trail of that little red line of trail, they probably would have crossed through some of those rivers. They found civilizations underneath the sand out in that area. They know that people went that way and traveled that way for a long period of time. The other direction they went is they went east, and they went into the Arabian Peninsula and up into the Arabian Peninsula. Does anybody know what major ancient civilization was located in that area? In the Arabian Peninsula? Anybody besides Spencer know? Spencer, what do you think?
Rome.
Not Rome. Rome is in Italy.
Greece.
Nope. Long before Christ. Mesopotamia, the ancient Mesopotamian civilizations started in that northern area of the Arabian Peninsula and what is now Iraq and Iran, that area right there. That was the ancient Mesopotamian area. Then they moved from there and they moved still further east into one of the most densely populated countries today, and into the Indus River Valley. You know what nation that is now? Kevin? Not close, but not quite. One of the most populous parts of the world today. And it's along Indus River Valley. Anybody want to take a guess? Matt?
Asia.
Asia is a continent. Think more of a country. What is it?
Oh. Oh, I know.
Yeah. Nope, Japan's an island off the coast of Asia. We already got China. India. India, the Indus River Valley in India. Did you see the Indus Valley civilization starts to form? And then later on, you see they start continuing to move east into China. And you have ancient China starting to build up. So you have four of the great ancient civilizations, four of the earliest civilizations on the planet, starting to form up around these river valleys on these paths of migration as people move from out of Africa around the globe, right? And some of the things that aided in this migration or caused this migration was the ice ages. Ice age started when it began, things got colder, people moved into warmer areas. As the ice ages started to recede and more land opened up, they started to move into these new areas. Yes, ma'am.
So, like, if the people started in Africa, like, I'm just confused about how did the way people look change?
Well, it's sort of the, there's a lot of different theories about it, and since I'm not a geneticist, I'm not going to really get into it. But I know that some of the theories involve people adapt. Now, well, all things adapt to the world that they live in. So when you live in a place that's closer to, if you kind of look around the world, you see that people around the equator where there's more sunlight and different things. They have extra melanin, is the thing that causes the pigment of the color of pigment of your skin. They seem to have more of it in certain areas. I'm not exactly sure why it happens. I don't know, because I'm not a geneticist and that's not my thing. But it has a lot to do with the evolution based on where people were living for survival. So it's something that happened over a long period of time as people started to settle into other areas, into different areas. Like I know if you pay attention, most people who have blue eyes or very light colored eyes have some sort of ancestry in Northern Europe or Scandinavia. And they actually have proved that people with light colored eyes your eyes are more sensitive to the sunlight or to light in general. And which was actually very helpful in a place where, especially like Scandinavia, northern Scandinavia, where they don't get as much daylight as they do in other parts of southern Europe. They just don't get as much sunlight. So your eyes have to be more sensitive to absorb more sunlight so that you can see better. Does that make sense? So you adapt to different conditions to survive. Yeah.
Is Ireland or Italy more than Europe?
Italy is not, but Ireland is kind of. But Ireland's a place where there's a lot of fog. A lot of Ireland is, but there's different conditions that can cause different attributes. But I'm not going to get into that because it's way outside my realm of knowledge. Way outside. So I could speculate as to some things, and I'll probably tell you the complete wrong answer. So I'm not even going to try. But people did move. People moved. Imagine. You can sort of see the ice ages were helpful and they were harmful. They destroyed a lot, but they also helped a lot. Imagine that we as a class, we are a people, we are another civilization. We are our little stone age civilization, except we've moved up in time a little bit. And we are living on an island, a little island in the middle of a gigantic lake. And the lake is so vast that we can't easily swim to the other side, and we're not smart enough to figure out how to build boats. So we're trapped on this island, and we're slowly running out of food. We need to get off the island. All of a sudden, the ice age comes, and the lake freezes. Can we get off the island now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can walk across the ice. Is it safe to walk across the ice?
No.
Not always, no. Now, if you know enough about ice and you are careful with ice, you can walk across it if you know all the correct signs. But if we're the first time, this is the first time we've ever walked on the ice, it's going to be an experiment. We need to know where to go, what path to take, what's the safest way to go. So we take all of our people, this whole class, we form a line. I'm at the back of the line. Anybody want to guess why I'm at the back of the line?
You don't want to go in. Because you don't want to go in.
Right, because I'm the leader. I'm the leader. The leader's got to stay at the back so you can stay safe. Right? That's how good leaders lead, right? So we form a long line, right? We form a long line and we start walking. We start walking out on the ice. And we get a little ways out into the ice, a little ways out into the ice, and Lily falls in. Lily finds a weak spot and Lily falls in the ice. Do we keep going the direction that Lily was?
No.
No, we change direction. We start going a new
And
way.
then the next person.
And we're going a little bit further.
And I fall in.
And then CJ falls in the ice.
CJ.
So we lost CJ.
Siege.
And then the next person goes.
All right.
One person left again. Nobody's.
So we've lost another person. We changed direction again. Now, we might not all make it to the other side. We may not all make it off the ice. But enough of us will make it off the ice that we can keep going. And we can find some other part of civilization to join. We can find more food. And we can continue and we can thrive. Right? We might not all make it off the ice. In fact, we got about 20 feet away from the end, from the shore, and Matt fell in. So he was this close to making it. He actually didn't fall in. Emily did.
Good job.
So,
I'm done.
Survived.
but we can. They move. The ice age helps them move and expand to where they're going. We see this in the move from Russia over where Russia is, from Asia into like where Alaska is, across the Bering Strait where it's frozen, and they can easily move across it. Well, as easily as you move through a frozen, terrible, hot planet-like area. But they could, and they did.
But isn't it different than like walking across like a frozen lake? Because doesn't it have to be like 50 degrees colder for salt water to melt than like lake water to melt?
You mean to freeze?
Yeah, freeze.
It needs to be a lot colder for salt water to freeze, yes. What the percentage is, I don't necessarily know.
Wait, if we're not smart enough to develop boats, then how did we, and it's too far to swim across, how did we get to the island in the first place?
Because people before us were smart enough to build boats, and then they got
How
destroyed.
did we leave the knowledge?
See, this is the other part about the ice ages. When ice freezes, what happens to water when ice freezes? Does anybody know?
It's cold.
Yeah.
I do have a question.
What happens if you took a glass of water, right? If you took a glass of water and you froze it, or a bottle of water, you took a bottle of water and you froze it. What happens?
The plastic breaks.
Right, it expands, right? It gets bigger. Water gets bigger when it expands. So, and then when it melts, it shrinks back down. So it's possible that at one point in time, when the ice expanded, and there were a series of ice ages and not ice ages and not ice ages, it's possible that some other people walked across from the outside and got to the island and stayed in the island. It's also possible that maybe the water levels were lower at one point in time and you could walk across easily. And it was only later, after multiple ice ages, that more water got deposited, and now we couldn't make it across. Yes?
Alright, so you said that they were living in but weren't there any other islands before?
There were, but we ran out. We ate them all.
Ate them all.
We ate them all. We were about to eat Matt when the ice age came. And then we decided, I guess we'll wait to push him in the ice. Yes, please put your books away.
I was like the second master of the keyboard.
Sure, yeah. You managed to not to do what, Matt? You managed to.
I was. And then you shoved me in.
Oh, you got to eat. Oh, guys, so you want to say?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I know, I just want you to say that.
You were a master. You just never managed to teach anybody anything.
Yo, Siege, are you Siege, are you
Matt,
over there? Siege.
Hey Matt, do you realize this is 2 classes in a row that you died?
Oh yeah.
He didn't want to.
Oh yeah, I remember.
2 classes in a row where somebody's killed you. Emily pushed him in the front.
Wait,
Who killed him?
Wait,
I want to
Yeah. She just shoved him in.
All right.
Wait,
Emily had, this is the second year in a row in my class, Emily's had to deal with it.
Okay.
No,
No, you
no,
just
we
said
just,
it is,
the
but
group just came together.
I will truly
Yeah,
say,
people all shove their
shut.
Tomorrow I will be zip quiet.
You cannot laugh, and then I'll say that you're lazy.
Okay, I will be the most quiet person ever.
clearer understanding of what to do with the project.
And get more done.
That too. Oh, I'm turning in the order forms for the t-shirts
I got you.
tomorrow. And to the guy, I'm giving him to the guy tomorrow, which is gonna be awesome because
Then can we get it back?